Hey guys, welcome to 7th grade lesson 27. So let's start off with number 1. Number 1 is Darshil works as a babysitter. She earns $S monthly. Next month her salary will be increased by 12%. The expression 1.12S represents her future salary. Which expression also represents her future salary? So, there are many similar problems to this in the previous lessons. Essentially what you have to do is you're finding an equation that looks like this, so or an expression that looks like this. So 1.12s could be anything from, like, it could even be like 1s, or no, not 1s, so it could be like 2s minus 0.88s or something like that. But so now you have a set of options here, and the thing that would be the most similar to it would be, or that is equal to this, would be B, because it would be the same thing as S plus, so it's 1S plus 0.12S. This expression is equal to this because if there's nothing in front of the variable, then that means the constant in front of it is 1. So then that means if you add 1 and 0.12, then you get 1.12S. So that's why it's equal. Let's go to number 3. So number 3, it says there are T 6 packs of soda and V 4 packs of juice. The expression 6T plus 4V represents the total number of bottled drinks. Which expression also represents the total number of bottled drinks? So, it's asking essentially to find, like number 1, what is equal to this. So 6T plus 4V. Now, from this equation, or this expression, there's only, like, you have to find a way to either simplify it or, like, change this equation somehow. But you can't add the two numbers because T and V are not the same. They're not the same variable. So the only way you can do it is do something with these constants in front of it, or the coefficients in front of it. So one common thing you can do is you can divide both of them by 2. And when you divide both of them by 2, you get 2, and you get 3T plus 2V. And your answer that matches that would be D. Okay, let's try number 5. So number 5, it's which expression is equivalent to the sentence below. It's what we've been doing for the past 2 problems. It says n is increased by 0.3 or by 34%, and now all you need to do is find the one here that matches this. So n is increased by 34%, so that means there's n, and you add because it's increased, and 34% could either be, you could either say 34% n, or you can change this into decimal form and you get n plus 0.34n, because the percent is equal to multiplying by 100. So from this you can tell that it matches A, and so your answer would be A. Alright, next page. So let's start off with number 1. Number 1 is 4 to the negative 3rd power. It says calculator is allowed, and they want exact answers. So when something is multiplied to the, when something is to the power of a negative number, it is the same thing as, so this 4 to the negative 3, it's better to just write it down. This is equal to 1 over 4 to the 3rd. And the reason is because of this negative. This negative makes it so that it is the inverse of whatever this is. So if you take away the negative, then it has to be a 1 over 4 cubed. So, and then you just need to know 4 cubed, which is 64. So your answer would be 1 over 64. Okay, now let's go on to this one, number 4. Number 4 is negative 2 to the negative 6. Now, this negative makes this equal to 1 over negative 2 to the 6th. Now, what is 2 to the 6th? 2 to the 6th is 64. 2 to the 6th is 64. And since it's a negative, it would be the... So you would normally, if this exponent is a odd, then your final answer would be a negative. But if it isn't, then it would be positive. So you would, this answer equals 1 over 64. But don't let this negative confuse you. It's okay. A simpler way to explain it is like, if you get 2 times 2, that equals 4, right? But if you get negative 2 times 2, then it equals negative 4. Now let's take into account, if it's negative 2 times negative 2, these negatives cancel out. So then you get a positive, and you end up with 4. But, so this equation right here is the same thing as negative 2 squared. But now, if you change this 2 up here to a 3, then it becomes negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And when you do that, these two multiply, the negatives cancel out, and you get 4. But there's still a negative 2 here, so then it would end up being negative 8, because a negative and a positive equals a negative. So in the similar way, here it's 6, it's an even number, so it would end up being positive. If it was a 5, then this answer down here, it would be 2 to the 5th, but it would be a negative. Okay, now let's go on to number 5. Number 5, anything to the 0 power equals 1, so 2 to the 0 equals 1. Okay, both of these are the same exact thing. It doesn't matter if it's a negative or it's a fraction. Anything to the 0 power is just 1. Next page. Okay, so let's start off with number 8. So number 8 is 2 to the 7th negative 2 to the negative 2nd power. Now, as I said before, it would be the same thing as the reciprocal of this base here squared. So in this case, what's the reciprocal of 2 to the 7th? Essentially, all you're doing is just flipping these two numbers. So then you get 7 over 2 squared. And what do you get from that? You get 7 over 2 times 7 over 2. 7 times 7 is 49. 2 times 2 is 4. So your answer would be 49 over 4. And from here you can simplify if you can, but in this case you can't simplify, so this would be your answer. Okay, let's try number 11. Number 11 is 0 to the negative 2. So the thing about finding a reciprocal, it would be the same thing as flipping it, but right now this 0 is 0 over 1. Why is that? Because 0 over 1, if it's not multiplied by 1, anything divided by 0 equals undefined. And that's just a general rule, that anything divided by 0 is undefined because you can't divide something from 0 or by 0. So when you're doing this, you're flipping these two, right? So you get 1 over 0. 1 over 0. Oops. 1 over 0 squared. Now 0 times 0 is 0, so you get 1 over 0. So remember when I said that anything divided by 0 is undefined? That means the answer to this question would actually be undefined. Alright guys, thank you for watching.